Hello and welcome to the newsroom for this edition of What the Hell Just Happened, the vlog that knows the 5 W's of journalism, but can't remember the names of the 7 dwarfs. Let's see, it's sleepy, grumpy, dopey. Wait, that's just me before morning coffee. I'm your host, Martin Ganopolar. When I was a kid, my dad would spend the better part of Sunday reading the New York Times. How do you get your news? According to the Pew Research Center, only about 10% of people still read the newspaper like my dad did. And the majority of those folks are over 65. So, like, none of you guys, right? These days, people prefer to receive their news either from TV or on social media. In other words, you're getting your facts from organizations that, at best, rely on commercials for men's sexual enhancement supplements, and at worst, from platforms that allow claims that the coronavirus came from people having sex with demons. I can't speak from experience about that, because I don't have COVID-19. But if the last 4 years taught us anything, it's taught us that where we get our news really matters. No one knows this better than the current president, who's manipulated the mainstream press by insisting that any negative reporting is merely fake news, while feeding the media lie after lie after lie with impunity. The truth is, legitimate news organizations like the Associated Press, United Press International, and Reuters News Agency, all of which operate under rigorous standards of ethical journalism, have been laying off staff like tossing sandbags out of a hot air balloon on a winter day. And conversely, Google, Facebook, Twitter, and other social media companies have added on tons of workers and acquired dozens of smaller companies, all bent on serving the unrelenting mission of engulf and devour. Now, don't get me wrong. The democratization of journalism has brought us some very reliable and ethical news sources like PolitiFacts, The Intercept, Democracy Now!, ProPublica, and Axios. But it's also brought us some particularly toxic kinds of organizations like Fox News, Breitbart, Alex Jones's InfoWars, and Rush Limbaugh. Limbaugh, the blatantly racist and misogynist pig, and this year's Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient, has become a multi-millionaire for saying such things as, quote, the NAACP should have riot rehearsals. They should get a liquor store and practice robberies. Yeah. As regards social media, Facebook had a huge part in Russia's manipulation of the 2016 presidential election. And guess what? They're back. But don't worry, because as we all know, moose and squirrel always win. Blah! But one of the biggest problems today has to do with where and how people receive facts and guidance about the coronavirus pandemic. A couple of months back, the president held daily news conferences to inform the American people about the scourge of COVID-19, or as he moronically calls it, the China virus. The press slavishly covered every minute of it. It was run live by all the networks, which, by the way, almost never happened with President Obama. But in these so-called public health conferences, he'd talk about the pandemic for a couple of minutes, mostly misrepresenting the facts. Then he'd spend the rest of the time ranting like a lunatic and campaigning for re-election. Yeah, I know, it's the same thing. Why did he receive so much coverage? 2 reasons. He's the president, and every tweet and pronouncement is an official communication from the White House. And also, the press knows that they're in direct competition with social media and right-wing political networks. Mercifully, POTUS discontinued these briefings because he was getting so much bad press for his garbled and luridly awful bullshit that it was no longer worth missing a tee-off time. Although I personally found the idea of injecting Clorox and inserting UV lights into the body pretty entertaining. But praise the Lord! This week, the president is once again gracing us with his bloated orange mug in regular coronavirus briefings. This is not an accident. What's actually happening is not about the virus. He's trying to compete with Joe Biden's positive press, and he's also prepping the American public for a massive disinformation campaign about Biden's mental fitness and voter fraud. He's already started tweeting and press conferencing about the danger of voting by mail And he's accusing Sleepy Joe Biden of being demented. Talk about irony. And you know what the hell just happened in an interview this week with Jonathan Swan of Axios? The 45th U.S. president showed that he was utterly incapable of speaking the truth or showing any empathy about his mismanagement of the pandemic. While this isn't really news, it was shocking to see it so brazenly displayed. You'd think by now he'd learn how to fake compassion. Yeah, I guess not. I strongly recommend you watch this interview. Axios is a reliable news source, and it's our civic duty to find sources of reliable information. Then maybe we'll finally be able to see this president exactly the way Mike Pence sees him. That is, from the back of his head, leaving the stage. Yeah! Hey, thanks for watching this edition of What the Hell Just Happened. Keep the faith, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.